Hello, I'm Dana Fontaine, and this is Around the World in 80 Clicks. This is the scope. Students age 12 to 19 or 20, any students with a Chromebook or iPad, students will need an internet connection to use Google Earth. The goals of this project, Around the World in 80 Clicks, was to introduce users, specifically schools and students, 5th grade to 12th grade and beyond, to college even, to worlds and cultures outside their own. I wanted to introduce them to landmarks, lesser known facts, cultural practices, and hidden treasures. And boy, did I find a lot of those. The goals are also to inspire students to create their own projects, to introduce students to the world outside of their own, because in Nebraska, where I'm located, we are pretty landlocked, and some students have never even left the state. I also wanted to introduce culture into daily life, provide virtual experiences without actually traveling around the world, because that is expensive, and we are a public school, so we don't have the funding for that. The combination of tools that I used are Google Earth Projects, Google Sites, YouTube, Culture Trips, a Chromebook or tablet. I used a Microsoft Surface, and I also used a Chromebook when developing this project. I developed website building with Google Sites, and I also used the National Geographic site and numerous travel sites. I also used Culture Trip, which outlined a lot of cultural places. I selected these because on Google Earth, you can take a virtual trip to these places and set your person down and actually look around at these culturally significant sites, which I will show you now. So I'm going to show you my Google Earth project. This took numerous days to complete, and I did not know where to start. And so Professor Schuster and I discussed where I would start, and I started with capitals. So there are two ways that you can navigate this. You can navigate this by clicking on Around the World in 80 Clicks, and then using your arrow keys to click, or you can simply search for the city and country or continent that you wish, and then click on that and go from there if you want to go for a certain point, if you want to go to a certain point. So you can share this with your students or with your class. You can share project right here. You can also copy it and download it. I put this on a Google Sites, and I plan on making it like a big thing, like a big project. But right now, I was just focusing on getting the information onto the Google Earth. So I started with our capital, Washington, D.C. And I started with the United States Capitol. I had two American presidents. I had a video or an activity, and then I had some facts. And the fact I have here is two American presidents kept alligators at the White House. So I looked for little known facts, fun facts, things that would be interesting to the people studying this. I then used my arrow to go to the next location. And if you are not editing this project, what I would do I would click on present. So once you click on present, then you can look at the 3D image like so. And I did not design this part of it. This part comes with this infrastructure. Then you can take this person, this little person, and you could stick them right down here so you can see different perspectives of that location. And it flies you in. And you can look right up at the Capitol building. And you can look around like so. And then you can go on to your next location. And I only did 1 or 2 locations per zone, because of course the world is a huge, vast place. And so I wanted something that was just really quick for the students to ingest. So I chose the Zamora, Mexico Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe. I'm going to click here on this person and zoom in. So it takes you right to that site. Then you can look around and look at that magnificent architecture and of the surrounding areas. So this is something that I really liked. I worked on this by myself. This was not a group project. And you can also watch these videos by clicking on this video. So I'm going to show you a few more sites. I chose the Frida Kahlo Museum because I really focused on the arts and cultures of all the cities that we were studying. So you can really make this for any culture that you would like, or any piece of humanities, the humanities. Okay, and so this, and you can use these arrows to navigate. So if you don't get like right up to the museum, you can kind of navigate your way to it. Okay, and so this is the Frida Kahlo Museum. Okay, so another one is Chichen Itza. And I have a really cool study right here, history.com, topics, Ancient Americas. Chichen Itza means the mouth of the well at Itza. So if you take your person and then you drop your person on one of those blue dots,
Logan Erline, if you are in the building, please come to the office. Logan Erline, if
you can see the pathways. And this is not the location that we want, but you can look a little bit in here where it actually is. Okay, then you can go to Tikal or Tegucigalpa, Honduras. I executed this plan by opening Google Earth, going to projects, and I started with a blank slate. So you can go to New Project, create a project in Google Drive. Do not start it in a KML file. I learned this the hard way. I lost about half of my presentation. So please don't do a KML file. Just do a Google Drive file. Click on New Feature, search place to add. So let's say you want to go to Mauritania. You would search Mauritania. It will drop a pin right there and kind of outline where you want to do. So you can also click Add to the project. If you want to add more facts, you can go to Edit Place. And over here on the left-hand side, I chose a star because I wanted to differentiate between any other points that may be there. I also changed the color of my point. I also clicked on Replace. And if you click on this picture, you can search numerous things. You can upload your own picture. You can do a Google image search or YouTube. If you have a virtual tour, you can also click on the URL. So this is where I added my fun facts. You can also add a link, and this can hold so many things. And as you can tell, there are already some pre-made projects over here. If you click back, and if you click on New Project, you can title it here. And once you click on New Feature and you search, you can also go to Guided Tours. Okay, and these are not ones that I made, but these are ones that other people have made. So if you click here on I'm Feeling Lucky, it will take you to a random place. And that's pretty cool just to explore. I also went and I drew points between all of my points. So I went to my projects. You can go to my projects, Around the World in 80 Clicks, and I drew points. And I did that by clicking on one of these points and just dragging it. Okay, and I connected them all, and that is where I got this shape right here that I have made. I was able to finish the project and work on expansions. For future endeavors, I plan on expanding the projects to fairy tales, urban legends, ghost stories, etc. I also could showcase Around the World in 80 Days too, more landmarks in different parts of the world. I am currently in the expanding and maintaining phase, and my idea to maintain and expand was to pop it onto a Google Sites, then have various categories that I can create under. Some expansion ideas I have are to make various versions, such as urban legends, fairy tales, etc. Reflecting on this, what I would do differently is maybe focus on one country at a time. This was a huge project, and I think maybe I would do one country at a time instead of like all of the countries that I did. I would keep the whole process the same because I had a lot of fun finding out about all the facts about the countries. And one thing I want to expand my thought process is what's next? How can I get this project out there and market it? All in all, I had a wonderful time creating this, and I think this is good for digital humanities because it tells the story of the culture and our world and how diverse it is. Endeavors, I plan on expanding the projects to fairy tales, urban legends, ghost stories, etc. I also could showcase around the world in 80 days too, more landmarks in different parts of the world. I am currently in the expanding and maintaining phase, and my idea to maintain and expand was to pop it onto a Google Sites, then have various categories that I can create under. Some expansion ideas I have are to make various versions, such as urban legends, fairy tales, etc. Reflecting on this, what I would do differently is maybe focus on one country at a time. This was a huge project, and I think maybe I would do one country at a time instead of like all of the countries that I did. I would keep the whole process the same because I had a lot of fun finding out about all the facts about the countries. And one thing I want to expand my thought process is what's next? How can I get this project out there and market it? All in all, I had a wonderful time creating this, and I think this is good for digital humanities because it tells the story of the culture and our world and how diverse it is.